What's up guys, Sam here, and today we're checking out some hidden features on the all-new iPhone 14 and the iPhone 14 Pro, because by now you guys have seen the dynamic island, you've seen the obvious stuff, so I want to take a deeper dive and see what Apple's really added year over year. So if you're excited, drop a like, hit subscribe for more, and let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, so kicking things off, the battery life on all of the iPhone 14s is insane, but on the 14 Pros, there's a way to make it even better, although you will have to sacrifice the always-on display. As we've heard from a lot of early reviews, and I noticed in my initial testing, while it looks stunning and it's my favorite implementation of an always-on display to date, it still means that your phone screen is using energy idly. So to disable this, you can head over to settings and turn it off, and you'll get a little bit of extra battery life. Now again, I think it looks great, and I definitely don't recommend that everyone turn it off, especially because it is a cool feature. I'm just saying if you do want the best battery life, it's been proven that it will improve it just a little. That being said, if you do use the always-on display, there are certain apps that work with it in addition to just the lock screen. So if you're using Apple Maps, or if you're on a phone call, or especially if you're recording a voice memo, these are all scenarios in which you will get a unique always-on view that won't be found on any other iPhones. And while we're on the topic of the iPhone 14 Pro's screen, you're also really going to notice a difference while using it when you're outside. Apple says it gets twice as bright as the iPhone 13 Pro, and comparing this to that device and even the iPhone 14, like, it is literally night and day. It doesn't translate across video perfectly, but using these devices side by side in person, it was so much easier for me to read text and use my phone in the sun on the 14 Pro. So it's great when you need it, but keep in mind, if the screen is at 2000 nits brightness, which is just insane, it's gonna be a huge power draw. I want to talk about more iPhone 14 Pro features in a second, but what if you're somebody who just bought the standard 14 or the iPhone 14 Plus? Well, you actually get an exclusive secret feature that Apple hasn't even mentioned that is only available on those devices. For the first time since the iPhone 4, you can now easily replace the back glass, which Apple has done obviously to make self-service repair and other repairs easier, where before you had to take apart the screen and other parts of the phone. Now you can just replace the back. But this is really exciting because you'll be able to do things like a transparent back on the phone, like people did when this was possible on the iPhone 4, or even get a custom color back that you find online that you can replace yourself in a way that's really not that hard. So yeah, the iPhone 14 Pros have the coolest features right now, but I feel like the most unique looking and coolest phones are going to end up being these custom iPhone 14 and 14 Plus models that people were able to change out. And while we're talking about really hidden features, let's talk about the most hidden feature this year of them all, which is the SIM tray, because if you buy an iPhone 14 in the United States, you no longer have a physical slot for a SIM card on your phone. Well, Apple has kept the SIM tray in literally every market outside of the United States. You can just grab a SIM card at a store and pop it in your phone. In the US, it is 100% electronic SIM based, which is not a new technology. It's actually been on the iPhones for a while. It's just that this year on the iPhone 14s, it's the only way to get cell service. And I've used it. It's actually a really incredible experience, and it was super easy to transfer everything over from my iPhone 13 to my iPhone 14. It's just it requires talking to your carrier a little bit more, and there is more room for errors in my opinion. So basically, you get a bonus feature if you buy a non-US iPhone 14. You will still have that physical SIM tray. Next up, on the front of the iPhone 14, Apple has the same ceramic shield that they've been using for a couple of years, but that's still not enough to fully protect your phone, which is why I partnered up with Casetify, who sponsored today's video. Not only is the design selection for Casetify unparalleled, there's essentially any design you'd ever want that you can get over on their site. You can even customize it with your name or a quote that is meaningful to you. What's also important to me is that my phone's not going to break when I drop it. So on the new Impact Ultra series for iPhone 14, they have EcoShock protection on the corners, which gives you 11.5 feet of drop protection. And for you guys, I've tested this out myself, and every single time I've dropped my phones, which is now like 5-6 times intentionally for these videos, my phone has never broken. I don't know what magic they're using, but it is absolutely unparalleled. I can't say enough good things about Casetify. I've recommended them to so many of my friends and family, and they absolutely love them. So just for you guys down below, you can get 15% off your order when you go to casetify.com/iupdateyt. So check out the link down below and get the phone case you've always wanted. Now, back to the video, and thanks again to Casetify for sponsoring. All right, next up, let's talk about cameras, because on all iPhone 14s, the front cameras are identical. Although they look totally different, one's a notch, one is the dynamic island, they are actually both 12 megapixel shooters that now, for the first time ever, have autofocus. So now you can tap and hold to lock not only exposure like you've always been able to do, but also autofocus just like you can on the rear cameras. And it allows you to get some new shots you just haven't been able to get ever on the front facing of the iPhone. As for the rear cameras on all iPhone 14s, the flash is also the same on the Pros and the non-Pros. It's a new adaptive True Tone flash that Apple says will adjust the pattern and intensity of 9 LEDs depending on the focal length of your photo, so your subject is always in the best light. Essentially, this is an all new type of flash that is custom per photo. We've never seen that before, and I can't wait to keep testing it out. You get this on all phones. Also, if you cover up the flash with your finger, you get a really cool halo effect around the entire camera housing. Historically, this was only on the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 13, but I'm noticing it more than ever on the iPhone 14 Pro. And I know what you're thinking, dude, this isn't really practical. Like, what is this? I don't know, it looks cool, and I haven't seen a lot of other phones have this halo effect. Like, Apple's design of the raised camera housing does actually let you do this, and it gives you more subtle flashlight too if you don't want something too bright. All iPhone 14s also have new gyroscopes and accelerometers in them, but why has Apple just randomly upgraded these? Well, it is for the new car crash detection. They essentially had to create something that could detect more G-force than iPhones could before to make this happen. I don't know, it's kind of crazy to me that Apple did a huge overhaul of these parts of the iPhone just to achieve one feature. But Apple didn't stop the internal changes there. They've also said that on at least the iPhone 14 and 14 Plus, there's a new heat system, basically making sure when the chip gets hot, it'll be able to cool itself better than before. We haven't really seen the practical applications of this, but I assume if you're doing an intensive task for an extended period of time, it's going to be able to run at a higher CPU and GPU rate than it could on previous models. All right, now for the last feature. I think this one is huge and I haven't seen anybody talking about it. It's only on the iPhone 14 Pros. It's the new precision dual frequency GPS. Now, while that doesn't sound like it'll be a big deal, if you've ever found your GPS being weird in between trees or foliage, or especially giving you wrong directions in a downtown area, it's because your GPS on your iPhone had a hard time connecting to satellites in the sky. With this new dual precision accuracy GPS, it's going to get a lot better. Apple has also put the same feature inside of the Apple Watch Ultra, and they show how, like in something such as the Chicago Marathon, it's going to be significantly more accurate because it's using multiple data sources instead of one, and it's going to make sure you're going in the right direction and your iPhone doesn't get confused. Basically, this is just going to save me from getting roasted by all my friends whenever I lead us in the wrong direction for 20 minutes in downtown Chicago. So thank you, Apple. The $1,000 of this phone was worth it to avoid that alone. Oh, and one bonus thing that I noticed about the iPhone 14 Pros is that they no longer come in a black box. I know it was a small thing, but there was something about it that just made it feel a bit more special and premium. But this year, all the 14s come in a very similar white box. Let me know what favorite feature in this video you have down below, which phone you're getting, which phone you're rocking right now, and why. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks again to Casetify for sponsoring, and I'll catch you in the next one.